Yo, what's going on? It's Luke Mann, and I'm sitting here. I've just made some tacos. I got a cool guitar and amplifier, and what I want to rap on a little bit today is quantum growth, specifically in a skill, more specifically in your guitar playing. Okay. When I first started playing guitar, I had never been good at something before. I was playing some video games, but fast forward plenty of years, you then see on YouTube or whatever, or even your buddies, they play this game to a much fuller extent than you ever did. Or at least that was my experience. Maybe you're that buddy that plays this video game really well. But nevertheless, cultivating a skill is a skill in it of itself. And I remember looking back at 25. I'm 25, so 15 years of playing guitar and at least 10 years of playing guitar very consistently on a day-to-day basis. I can think of eras. There's been eras. There's been levels to this, man. And there was just starting out where maybe I'd play the guitar once a year. I wanted to play some Green Day songs, to another era where Randy Rhoads is the man, and I gotta play all the Randy Rhoads licks, and I'm gonna practice until I have those. And then another era where it's like, man, I can't alternate pick quite as fast as I'd like to, quite as fast as Yngwie Malmsteen or Paul Gilbert. To an era where, damn, I can now actually play these techniques as fast as Jason Becker or Marty Friedman. I'm keeping up with this stuff, and it feels great. To another era where I can't keep in time with a metronome, and I'm being pressured by a band to increase a lot of my playing speed. And that's actually kind of a window into what I wanted to talk about. To even now, this is a new era still, where I'm pretty technically proficient guy, but harmonically challenged and maybe even rhythmically challenged. I want to play bebop licks. I want to incorporate that language into my style, which I haven't yet done. Okay, and this is where the lessons begin, is right here. Because every time I got better at the guitar, it was always the stress of an environment. It was always being in an environment. I actually just did a write-up. It's called The Formula to Quantum Growth Defined. All right. And I defined it into three things, which I'll talk about. The first one is accountability. The next one is mentor. And the last one was environment. Yeah. So let's talk about the environment, because if I look back at when I started to play guitar and when I started to really piece these things together, that was when I was in high school, and there were so many good guitarists around me, and some of the guys wanted to do country stuff, and some of the guys wanted to play cool chords, and some of the guys just wanted to rock, and some of the guys were like fingerstyle. They were like classical guitar. So I was like in this melting pot of amazing guitar players, and I just didn't want to get left behind. Not only that, but there were like certain things, there were certain songs like Tornado of Souls, man. Like, if you could play Tornado of Souls, I think you're cool. Like, there was pedestals on particular pieces of music, particular pieces of music were on a pedestal, and I just took so much pride and so much joy into getting to that level, getting to that piece of music. And that's what kept me up at night. That's what kept me practicing. That's what I thought was so cool. I was like, I'm gonna practice this stuff so much until I can get it. Why? For myself, maybe, but mostly because I wanted to stir the pot. I wanted to see what all my classmates, how they reacted when I was playing this stuff up to speed. And I took joy in doing that. I always loved getting the better of someone and someone getting the better of me, because it fired me up every single time. And so that made me grow a lot. You know, that was kind of the first time I got to experience that quantum growth because, social pressure. Another one was actually having a great mentor. There was so many times when I was stuck at a particular BPM, stuck at a particular speed with, let's say, an alternate picking technique. And I wanted to do it so bad. I wanted to get up to a speed like Paul Gilbert could play, like Yngwie Malmsteen could play. And I would watch those REH videos, I'd stare at them, and I would just crumble. I'd look at my buddies, we'd stare in disbelief at Paul Gilbert just like shredding through these 3-note per string shapes like, oh yeah, it's simple, it's easy. And I was just like, man, how is he doing that? So finally I found the right mentor. He told me a couple things. Huge value nugget here, write this down, is I was using a pick like this. I don't know if I even have the right pick you should be using. But there was a time when someone revealed to me that actually you should be using a pick like this. There it is. This is responsible for tons and tons of my growth in alternate picking. And it was only because I had a mentor that showed me that I figured that out. So after he showed me that and a couple other techniques, of course, to get better results when it comes to increasing my BPM on any particular run, then I was starting to branch up. And that was exciting. That was really, really cool because he liberated me from this cage I was in where I couldn't play exactly the solos that I wanted to play, or I couldn't sound exactly the way that I wanted to sound. As a side note, this guitar pick is staring me in the face. Really cool. Not affiliated with them. Dragon Hearts guitar picks. This guitar pick is like infused with graphite to make you faster. Well, it's a very impractical guitar pick to play unless you know how to play it, which is like that. If you hold it like this way. Other way, you get caught on the string. It sucks. But if you hold it like this, yeah, it's just a fun guitar pick to have. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff a mentor can liberate you from. And I'll talk about that more as well. I'll talk about it right now. I don't care. Eventually, many years after that, after getting alternate picking together, I was playing in different bands, bands that were mainly diatonic, meaning just the notes of the major scale. So 7 notes. And if you know surface level jazz, you know that it's really exciting to put all sorts of notes in there, to put this this new language of playing all together called bebop, to bebop down these lines from 1/3 to the next 7, to follow these chord tones in a real fun, interesting way. And what I lacked, even when I started out on that journey, I thought, okay, well, through osmosis, through learning enough of these licks, I'm going to absorb that style into my playing. That's literally what I thought. But what ended up happening is 6 years later, I found that I was a parrot. I could essentially play all these complex solos, all these, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis solos, but what I lacked was the underlying principle of why they played the notes that they played. I didn't know. I didn't understand that surface level jazz is just standards, is 16 or so different chords that change the key just slightly, or don't even change the key. And I spent 6 years trying to figure out that style, and after 6 years, I still couldn't play over the first 4 chords without sounding like an idiot. until, yeah, my jazz guitar mentor that I have now, that I currently work with, showed me like, hey, you know what? By the way, this is another huge value nugget right here. If that's what you're doing right now, it's like, you don't need to think of every single one of these arpeggios as a scale. In fact, that's going to be way overwhelming for you. In fact, what you should do instead is think of each chord, each change as an arpeggio. And then later you can add the scale to its respective mode, or you can throw in a couple of these bebop lines, those chromatic notes that, you know, this jazz stuff is known for. Sure enough, I first learned the chords like he told me to. I don't know why I didn't think to do that first. I just wanted to start soloing. Learned the chords, learned the corresponding arpeggios, and then in another 2 weeks, what do you know? I could actually play that standard. I could play all 16 chords, play something over it that was musical, that I was proud of. And that was a big deal for me. That was really cool. All right, so we talked about the environment. We talked about having a great mentor, and lastly, the accountability. Okay, because it doesn't matter what I'm doing in life, I'm being held accountable, because I personally know that's the best way to do it. That's the best. The thing about being held accountable is you have coaches, or you have mentors, or you have teachers, whatever, that you respect and you admire. I know I do. My boxing coach is like, to me, he's a god, you know, not in like a culty way, but you know, I just think he's a really cool guy, really nice guy, really sweet guy, and I know he's counting on me to put in the work, and I don't want to let him down, you know. And so, because I know that I will personally let them down if I don't put this work in, or because I'm just excited to show them, again, to see their reaction, I put the work in because I'm excited about doing it. That's huge. If I look at my goals in fitness, if I look at my goals in boxing, in business, or in jazz guitar, right now, somebody's holding me accountable, and when I don't have somebody holding me accountable, I don't do the work. There's no work to do. And it's this crazy thing. I don't know why it's so powerful. I think it is, again, it's just that pressure you feel is so intense because you care about these people and you don't want to let them down. You don't want to, as my jazz guitar mentor says, personally slap them in the face by not practicing. That must be why it's so effective, and the reason I'm doing it in all these different facets of my life is because, yeah, it's so effective. So having that environment that allows you to thrive in, again, this is so big. I've seen this in what, you know, some personal development people would say success barriers. Okay, they're a real thing, actually. And so I've seen my own success barriers just get plowed down, not necessarily by me, not necessarily by my mentor, but by someone else in whatever coaching group who started to do that when I thought it was impossible. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You could just pick 16th notes at 300 BPM. You know, I thought I could only make it to 180, something like that. And when you see someone who's not necessarily the coach or not necessarily the teacher, it makes it so much more relatable. And when it's relatable, you can see yourself doing it. And then, of course, that's when you do it. So, yeah. I mean, that's again, the importance of being in a group of kindred spirits, of like-minded people that also want to move. They also want to progress towards a really positive goal. That's an amazing, amazing thing, and it cannot be overstated enough. So if you're still watching this, you probably also are thinking about being mentored, held accountable. You're probably not super excited with where you are right now on the guitar. You'd like to get even further along in your journey. You want to be in an environment with kindred spirits, with people that are really positive and all moving towards a mutual goal, obviously, of progressing on the guitar. Then you can click the link in the description below. That'll take you to an application page. You could fill that out, and then you can also book the date and time when you want to get a call from me. On that call, you're going to be talking to me personally. We're going to take a look at where you're at on the guitar right now, as well as where you want to go. And, I'm pretty familiar at this point. I've been doing this for over 2 years, working with people on the guitar. So pretty familiar with the exact steps that we'll need to take to get you from point A, where right now you're uncomfortable in whatever your situation is. Like I said, we'll take a look at it and get you to the other side where you can perform these different techniques that you want to. You can understand the theory better so that you can put it into your own playing, or maybe you just want to play Kumbaya at the bonfire. So whatever it is, we'll figure it out on that call. I'm super hyped for it, so I'll talk to you soon. Late.